Welcome to Honest Whispers Review to Sale. On this video I'll be reviewing JLA Classified Series 1 Wonder Woman action figure. It was released by DC Direct back in April 5th, 2006, designed by Ed McGuinness and sculpted by Tim Bruckner. This figure is approximately 6.5 inches tall. And right now that's what the base, so that did add a little bit. And basically I'm going to go over 5 different categories to review this. First category is design, which basically covers the look, the concept, and the points of articulations. And first off, as far as the look goes, this is one of the first action figures or a line of figures that's basically based on the art style by a particular artist. In this case, Ed McGuinness, and he did do a concept art for this action figure, which is basically a black and white drawing or sketch showing the front, side with the arm unattached, and also with the back with the hair drawn transparently so that the back is shown, or the details of the back is shown. So the design or the concept also is pretty good. It comes with the JLA Classified base, which is exactly the same as the logo on the comic book series. The black of the base, although you can't see, is somewhat translucent, so if you hold it up to the light you can see through it. And the JLA, of course, is imprinted, and it's the same base that you would get, same size, same everything, from all the characters from the JLA Classified line. So whether if it's series 1 or 2 or 3, you will get the same base. So that's a pretty good, I do like that consistency along the line of different figures, or at least in the same line. And as far as the figure goes, this figure does have 11 points of articulation: 1 on the neck, 2 shoulders, 2 elbows, 2 wrists, 2 hips, and 2 knees. But unfortunately, few of the joints or points of articulation are unfunctional. For instance, the neck, due to the hair is sculpted over the back and the shoulders, and it is quite wide from shoulder to shoulder, so basically that hinders any movement on the neck. And as far as the hips, the way it's sculpted, especially her Star Spangled shorts or panties, basically you'll see that I do like the seamless joint, but which costs the functionality of the joint itself, so it doesn't move. But for me, if you're gonna make it immobile, or if it's immobile, there's nothing you can do about the mobility of the joint, then I would at least have sculpted the thighs, or have the thighs planned to be sculpted so that you don't have this gap between the upper inner thighs and the perineum. So from whether if it's front or back, you will see that gap. So for me, the joints are unfunctional, so might as well just make it as seamless as possible. So that's really my argument here, or my point of view. Knees do bend, but it only bends a little over 45 degrees. So it's not even like 90 degrees in a sitting position. And of course, because of the angle that the legs and the ankles are in, you will, the more when you bend the leg or the knee, you will have the bottom of the foot go in a different position, or even the legs itself, you'll have an awkward position where the knees are far apart and the legs are close together. Now, I know how figures are case by case different. At least the one that I got, the joints on the shoulders and elbows and even wrists are so stiff that I don't want to risk breaking it by moving it, and or even I don't want to risk even popping it out, which might distort the shape and permanently leave a gap between the hinge joints of the elbow. Even this one, I ended up receiving one that was damaged by the manufacturer. It's probably done when it was put together, and you could see this. It's very minor but noticeable, kind of like an indented line or cut. So it's not something I can do, especially because you don't see any damage or scratches on the hair or the chest, and at the same time the line itself, it lines up with the inner line of the shoulder, or inner edge or outer edge of the chest. That should be better. But anyway, besides that, the default position is okay as it is, so it's not like I'm gonna do much with it. But then the lasso, it is just kind of like a gold cord. It's not tied, it's just looped around. Manufacturer didn't even attempt to make it symmetrical, so one line. Well, anyway, I could probably fix that if I wanted to, but I always like to leave the figure as is. Now the problem I have with this design is that what's holding it up is an open hook. So due to that, whenever you move this or tilt it, good chance that the lasso is gonna fall off, or even if your finger kind of touches one of the edges, it might lift it up and then end up detaching it. So it does become a hassle. And the fact that it's on the back rather than the side, that's also kind of well, it is what it is. I guess it fits better. I could see that being on the side of her hip might be more of a hassle. So the design, I give it an average 5 out of 10. Next category is sculpting, and that basically covers the details, the quality of the mold, and of course the execution. And as far as the details goes and execution, and comparing it with the concept art that McGuinness drew and the final result, definitely the execution is off. Starting with the face, very asymmetrical. It looks like two halves of different faces were put together. Another way I could put it is the left side of her face looks like she got a facelift, or the right side of her face like she suffered a stroke, so the right side of her face is all droopy. Even her mouth or lips is crooked, so you can see that more of her bottom of her lip is on her right side of her face, and also the shape of her face is off. Where this one, you could see how her chin goes straight, more in an angle and straight. This one, this side is kind of more rounder. So everything about the face is off, and it's not the painter's fault, because you'll see that there is, like, her eyebrow and eyes, it's kind of sculpted out, so it's almost like you can see the edge of the eyebrow or the eyes. So, and also the hair, you see a lot of details on the side and front of the hair, a lot of strands, detail. Even right here, there's like a little oval or circle that's like dented in, which is a bad quality on the cast or the mold, or the process itself. And then the top and back of her hair is all simplified, which I don't mind, but there's no balance to it, so it's almost too simple. And then at the same time, the side of the back, it has this huge sharp edge, so it makes it very like a blocky head. She has like a block head, so it's almost like it reminds me of Lego or one of those like mega block figures. And then these hair in the front, it sticks out so much, like in certain angles. And also her side of her hair is so narrow that it looks like she's wearing a mullet, kind of, in certain angles in the front. And when you look from other angles, it looks like she has cat ears. Even slightly from the side, it sticks out so much, it looks like she has like stubby horns. Or even, it looks like she has hair boobs. So definitely, I guess part of design fault or planning fault or miscommunication between the two departments. Now, the details on the chest, like the collarbone, her costume, chest plate, even her breasts, her torso, hips, like the Star Spangled panties or shorts, and her butt. Actually, on this one, art turned out pretty good. A lot of nice sharp lines, everything symmetrical. Let's see. And even the way the bottom of her breasts are sculpted, where it doesn't have like an underneath cleavage. It looks like Ed McGuinness's drawing or art style in any different angle. So that's pretty done. I feel like that's a huge plus. But for me, the muscles way more defined than the concept art looks like. The lines are way more sharper, more defined, and even her thighs are more bulgier. So I just think the execution on that's a bit off. Even the size of her hand or head just seems slightly unproportioned. But her boots, definitely nicely done. Not really, I don't really like these saggy boot style, but judging from an unbiased point of view, very well executed. It definitely looks like the way McGuinness draws it. So that's done well. Other than that, you do see minor molding flaws here and there, which you have to really look closely. You do see seam lines on her bracelets, forearm, and even here on the side of her boot, you see like little bumps, or even like pimples, you could say. So that's like a molding flaw. So with that in mind, I mean, with the face being such a huge problem, it just makes her look ugly. I just have to be honest, and I mean to say, I definitely wouldn't be able to do a better job, but just from a critical point of view, I think it's very distorted looking face. So I give the sculpting score a 4 out of 10. Next category is colors. Basically covers the painting, the quality of the paint, and the application, whether it's hand painted or imprinted. And overall, the hand painted part's done pretty well, especially with the star on her tiara, good sharp edges. The eyes a bit off, and I'm not talking about the position of the eyes, but the pupils itself. So that's makes her slightly cross-eyed. In other words, her right eye, there's less white surface between her pupil and her nose, while her left eye here seems more evenly aligned in the center. While this one, yeah, so it's self-explanatory. Let's see. They did paint star earrings on her, which overall is done well. But here, as you can see on her hair, it's almost like there's paint that got rubbed off, or they painted some on her shoulder by mistake. Like it's like the brush or whatever they were using touched the hair and the paint dried that way. So it's kind of unfortunate on those little flaws and mistakes. Chest is overall done overall okay, but you do see some yellow bleeding onto the edge of the red. Stars on her shorts, nicely imprinted, everything symmetrical, well, almost symmetrical. You do see that at close-up, the point of her belt is offset from the point of her star. Well, that's not a huge flaw for me, because I mean, her body could be kind of tilted, so that can make it look like, hey, that's just the way her costume is. But still, if I had a choice, I would rather have everything line up straight. But at least the stars themselves, between the distance between each stars, the angle that they're in, that's at least symmetrical. And as you can see, her shorts have this nice glossy finish to it, so I like that a lot. And while certain areas like her chest plate, like the yellow, it's more of a matte finish, and it actually looks more yellow than gold. Now they did re-release this a second time as a JLA Classified Classics, and the main difference is the paint scheme. They used a more of a metallic gold on the yellow, whether if it's tiara, chest plate, or the belt. But then her star spangled shorts have a matte finish. So if I had the best of both worlds, I would have liked the metallic finish on the gold. That looks more gold than yellow, and the gloss finish on her shorts. And also her boots, because the boots, you could see a nice shine to them as well, while the classic, the boots have a matte finish. Now the boots overall, like in the back here, the borders of the white, overall it's done okay. The lines are straight. You just see this one edge up here, it's kind of off, and then you do see in the middle, or rather the inner corners, so there's some white bleeding onto the edges, and even on this side. But that's very minor, and you have to look very close. So overall, the painting and the colors, very well done. As I mentioned, I particularly like this version. If I had to choose between the two, this one over the classic version. So I give the colors 7 out of 10. Next category is value. Value basically is retail versus quality, and retail versus aftermarket value. And this one, I forgot exactly how much I bought this for when it came out 12 years ago. This was in the range of $12 to $15, and right now, whether if it's used or new, the lowest I've seen is $19, which is either free shipping or shipping included. And then the next lowest new one is $21, and then $23. So it basically in that $21 range is what the value is right now. So for me, that's very unfortunate, especially for something that's 12 years old. Definitely would expect to see more value on this, at least over 100% the retail cost. Now, one thing I do want to point out too is that if you did pay for it right now for like $19, I think the quality you get is still pretty much worth it. It really depends on preference. If you're a huge fan of Ed McGuinness, I think unfortunately they could have done a better job depicting or portraying his art style. But for what it is, still overall looks good. And if you like the Wonder Woman with the more of a muscular build, like a female bodybuilder type, this is definitely would be the figure for you. So for me, the value, unfortunately, even though it may be worth around, like you still get the value you get because it's a solid figure. But still, it's very unfortunate. There's really not much or hardly no aftermarket value at all. So I give the value score a slight below average, 4 out of 10. Final category is overall. Overall basically accumulates all the 4 prior categories: design, sculpting, colors, and value. And for me, definitely this is more of a unique action figure, at least look and design wise, especially because Ed McGuinness's art style is very unique on its own. So as I mentioned, I wish they did a slightly better job in portraying the way McGuinness draws Wonder Woman. But other than that, yeah, to me, just being honest, I think the face could have been done way better. Now, after so many years, especially since this was released in 2006, I mean, ever since 12 years, there are a lot of new action figures of Wonder Woman that came out. So unfortunately, this used to be up there, but definitely fell down the totem pole of, I guess, all-time best Wonder Woman figures. So for me, I give the overall score an average 5 out of 10. So to recap, design, 5 out of 10. Sculpting, 4 out of 10. Colors, 7 out of 10. Value, 4 out of 10. And overall, 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time, try reading JLA Classified. There are actually a couple good arcs that you can find in there.